People often imagine that stupidity is loud, dramatic failures, embarrassing mistakes, or decisions so reckless that everyone else sees the disaster coming except the person making them. But in reality, the things stupid people do are usually quiet, subtle, ordinary. They're not always explosive events that ruin a life overnight. Most of the time, they are small behaviors repeated so consistently that they carve deep grooves into a person's future, like water cutting into stone. This is a story about those grooves. And it begins with a man named Aurelius. Aurelius wasn't a bad person. He wasn't cruel, malicious, or intentionally destructive. He was simply the kind of man who never realized that his daily actions were quietly sabotaging his progress. If you looked at his life from the outside, you might say he was unlucky or misguided. But if you observed closely, you would see a pattern, a consistent, predictable sequence of choices that held him back year after year. These were the things stupid people do, not because they want to be stupid, but because they never stop to see the damage. And you might see yourself in some of these habits, not because you're stupid, but because you're human. This is the story of how Aurelius finally woke up. 1. Aurelius's first mistake, believing that feelings are facts. Aurelius had a talent for reacting before thinking. If he felt annoyed, he lashed out. If he felt insecure, he attacked others. If he felt jealous, he made accusations rather than having conversations. One morning, he walked into work and overheard two co-workers talking. They stopped when he approached. Immediately, his mind began spinning. They're talking about me. They're plotting something. They're judging me. His emotions began dictating his reality. That day, he snapped at them, avoided the team, and spent the whole week convinced he was the center of a drama that didn't exist. This is one of the top things stupid people do. They let emotions take the driver's seat, even when those emotions are unreliable narrators. In psychology, this is called emotional reasoning, the belief that if I feel it, it must be true. Aurelius never paused to question his assumptions, never stepped outside his mind long enough to see that he was inventing enemies. And this behavior cost him trust, opportunities, and friendships. But this was only the first trap. 2. Aurelius's second mistake, making the same choices but expecting different results. Every year, Aurelius made a promise to himself. This year will be different. And every year he made the same choices. He spent money the moment he earned it. He avoided difficult conversations. He procrastinated on every important task. He blamed circumstances instead of decisions. Stupid people, or rather people acting stupidly, repeat the same behaviors and hope life magically changes. Aurelius wanted success, but he didn't want discomfort. He wanted discipline, but he didn't want to practice it. He wanted growth, but he refused to sacrifice his old habits. His life became predictable. Nothing changed because he didn't change. One night, after missing yet another deadline, Aurelius sat on the edge of his bed, frustrated beyond belief. But even then, instead of acknowledging responsibility, he told himself, "Why does this always happen to me?" As if the universe were conspiring against him. This victim mentality is one of the most destructive patterns in the category of things stupid people do. It convinces them that life is happening to them rather than because of them. But his worst habit was still hidden beneath the surface. 3. Aurelius's third mistake, surrounding himself with comfortable mediocrity. Aurelius's friends were fun, but they weren't growing. Every weekend was the same routine: gossip, complaints, drinking, and joking about how life is too short to be serious. Whenever Aurelius tried to talk about improving his life, they laughed. "Bro, why work so hard? No one cares. Just chill, you're taking life too seriously. Success is all luck anyway. Stop trying to act wise." These were people who feared ambition, who mocked discipline, who treated wisdom like an insult.
And because Elias wanted to fit in, he suppressed every part of himself that wanted more. This is one of the most common things stupid people do. They choose comfort over growth, and in doing so, they choose people who keep them small. Elias didn't realize yet that environment is destiny. But everything changed the day he met Aurelius, an old professor who introduced him to a philosophy that would alter the trajectory of his life. And this is where Stoicism enters the story. The day Elias discovered Stoic philosophy. Elias was sitting alone at a cafe, frustrated after an argument with his friends, when Aurelius, a retired philosopher, sat beside him. "You look troubled," the old man said. Elias sighed. "Life just isn't going the way I want." The professor smiled. "Life always goes the way it goes. The question is, do you go with it or get dragged?" The sentence hit Elias like a shockwave. "What does that mean?" he asked. Aurelius reached into his bag and handed him a worn book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. "This is what helped me when I was your age," he said. "You're not suffering from bad luck, you're suffering from bad habits." Elias frowned. "What habits?" The professor leaned closer. "The things people do when they stop thinking. You call them mistakes, I call them patterns." He continued, "Stupid people, and I don't mean unintelligent, but unwise, repeat certain behaviors that destroy them. Stoicism teaches us how to break those cycles." This meeting would become the turning point of Elias's story, because what he learned next would show him exactly why his life kept falling apart.
4. Elias's fourth mistake: discounting wisdom because it sounds simple. Elias began reading the book, but his immediate reaction was, "This is too simple. Everyone knows this." Aurelius looked at him calmly. "Knowing is not the same as doing. The stupidest thing a man can do is ignore wisdom because it doesn't sound complicated." He opened the book and pointed to a line. "You become what you give your attention to." Elias rolled his eyes. "That's obvious." "Then why don't you live it?" Aurelius replied. And Elias had no answer. This is one of the most overlooked things stupid people do. They disregard simple insights because ego wants complexity. Ego wants something impressive, not something effective. But the truth is, simple isn't easy. Simple requires discipline. Simple requires humility. Stupid behavior thrives in people who think they're too smart to learn basic principles. Elias finally began to realize that wisdom isn't found in complicated theories. It's found in practiced truths. 5. Elias's fifth mistake: letting pride destroy opportunities. A week later, Elias made a mistake at work. A small one, but noticeable. His manager pulled him aside and said, "We need to talk about how you're handling deadlines." Immediately, Elias felt attacked. His chest tightened. His ego flared. He defended himself aggressively. "It wasn't my fault. I didn't have enough information. No one helped me. You always blame me." The conversation spiraled downward. Later that day, Aurelius asked him how work was going. Elias recounted the story, but instead of sympathy, Aurelius sighed. "You defended your ego, not your future." He explained, "Pride is the invisible ceiling of stupid people. They can't rise because they refuse to acknowledge their mistakes. Stupid people think mistakes make them look weak. Wise people know mistakes make them grow." Elias realized that he wasn't improving because he was too busy pretending he had nothing to improve. Pride was his enemy, not his manager, not his job, not the situation.
And the moment he saw this, everything changed. But one more trap awaited him, a trap almost everyone falls into.
6. Elias's sixth mistake: wasting time trying to look smart instead of becoming smart. Elias loved appearing intelligent. He loved using big words, debating for the sake of ego, and pretending to know more than he actually did. But once he started studying Stoicism and paying attention to people more successful than him, he noticed something surprising. The wisest people he met were quiet, humble, and curious. They asked questions. They listened more than they spoke. They admitted ignorance. Meanwhile, Elias spent energy trying to protect an image. One day, Aurelius asked him, "Elias, do you want to appear intelligent or become intelligent?" Elias was speechless. This is one of the most self-destructive things stupid people do. They prioritize image over substance. They want the appearance of wisdom without the discipline of acquiring it. Once Elias understood this, he dropped the performance. He stopped pretending. He started learning. And for the first time in his life, he felt real growth. But the final mistake was the deepest one, the one that had secretly controlled everything else. 7. Elias's seventh mistake: refusing to take responsibility for his life. Aurelius told him, "All stupidity originates from one root, the refusal to take ownership." Stupid people blame their parents, their boss, their partner, their friends, their circumstances, their past, the world. Wise people blame one thing first: themselves. Not because they enjoy guilt, but because responsibility is the only path to control. Aurelius explained, "You cannot change what you do not claim. The moment you take ownership, you reclaim your power." Elias looked back over his life and realized his reactions shaped his relationships, his habits shaped his opportunities, his pride shaped his failures, his choices shaped his destiny. Everything he complained about, he participated in creating. This realization didn't break him, it liberated him. Because if he created his problems, he could also create his solutions.
The transformation. With this newfound clarity, Elias changed his life. He paused before reacting. He questioned his assumptions. He surrounded himself with ambitious people. He listened more than he spoke. He accepted feedback. He took responsibility for everything within his control. He became wiser, calmer, more confident, more respected. Not because he tried to look smarter, but because he stopped doing the things stupid people do. His life didn't change overnight. He changed every day, and life simply followed. The final message. Stupidity is not about intelligence. It's about repeated behaviors that harm your future. The things stupid people do are things ordinary people do, but the wise eventually outgrow. If you want to transform your life, start with this. Identify one stupid habit. Break it. Replace it. Repeat. Wisdom isn't found in knowing everything. Wisdom is found in doing better than you did yesterday. And as the Stoics remind us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The story of Elias is the story of all of us. We all begin blind. We all make foolish decisions. But the wise learn. The wise grow. The wise overcome. And today, you get to choose which path you follow. Do you keep repeating the things stupid people do, or do you rise above them? The answer will define your entire future.